and welcome from the game to grace. I am your co-host Candace Hayes.
And I'm Jarius Hayes.
And today, listen, we're going to be talking about families in the thick of blending in, blended families, struggling with acceptance, boundaries, or even unity. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I guess we can go back like from 29 years ago when Jairus and I had first started dating and started even talking about marriage and all that, um, with my 2 children that I had before, I married him. What Just some of the things that, I actually did was, during our dating process, what I did was I just kinda watched his interaction, with my kids because just as a woman, um, y you can tell if someone is sincere, and shows compassion, for your children. And he didn't know that's what I was doing, but I was just kinda watching how he interacted, because one thing about it is you don't want, someone you're dating that don't care for your children. That's gonna be a negative, and that was a negative for me. Um, Especially if you're looking down the road to marrying someone. So, I would say, and I guess we could go back, Jerry's, from when we started dating. What was your thought process with me already having 2 children and knowing that we were gonna, this was gonna be a blended family? What were some of the things that you were thinking, when we were dating? What was your process there?
Um, I First of all, I didn't look at it as a burden, but I did look at it as a responsibility that I was going to have to take on. And in a lot of cases, especially with young men, uh, they're not ready or willing to take on that responsibility. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, but however, I still didn't look at it as a burden, but I still looked at it as a responsibility. But at the same time, I didn't try to overthink. I didn't try to, I just kind of make sure because kids can tell if you don't care for them
Or not. Yeah.
or you dismissing them or
Mhm.
you don't want to be bothered. They can tell. So, but, as for me, I just kind of just try not to think about it, think too much, try not to, what's the word? I try not to,
Overanalyze or
overanalyze. I
yeah,
just,
yeah.
when I interacted with them as if they were my niece and nephew, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So, um, but I didn't look at it as a burden. Uh, I look back on it, and of course, you look back on it and say, "Well, I probably should have did this, or I probably should have did that, or
So
I probably shouldn't have did this, or I
right,
probably shouldn't have did that."
yeah.
So,
So what
uh,
were some of the things, like, looking back from 29 years ago, and if you would have to do it over again, what would be some of the things that you would change, or what would be some of the things that you would, say, or, um, what would be some of those things?
probably would have had maybe adult conversations more so to start out. Because anytime because I look at it if I was on if the shoe was on the other foot
Right.
and uh the woman I had a kid by was getting married and my child was gonna be in that family, uh that's that's just me. I don't know about I don't know about anybody else, but
Yeah.
I would be concerned.
Mhm. Why would you be concerned?
Not
Yeah.
simply because that's my child, and even though I'm not. together with the mother, she's getting married, I still would kind of want to know, okay, what's gonna be, where y'all gonna be living, how things gonna be. I'm gonna have to know some. I'm gonna have to get some kind of clarification on. Okay,
Mhm.
well, how does it work? Not that I would have been hating on you
Yeah.
or hating on the woman. I would have just wanted to know. Okay, how is this? How we gonna work this? How this gonna work out? Because that's just me. Because
Mhm.
I'm just talking from
Your
my
experience.
mentality.
Yeah.
If I had a child and the mother of my child was getting married, like I said, I wouldn't be hating on her nothing. You know what I'm saying? All love,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah.
But I just would have been like, well, just kind of want to know, okay, well, how all this gonna work. You know what I'm saying? So cause, you know, and in my case, I was coming in to a situation where you already had two children and you know, their their fathers or whatever, you know, I, I probably would have had a conversation with them from the jump, just out of uh what's the word? Respect or guidelines or
Mhm.
how this all gonna work or how we gonna work this. You know what I'm saying? So um but I thought about it, but I didn't do it.
Mhm.
But even though things still worked out, uh had I had to do it over again, I probably would have from the jump kind of just had a conversation with them, you know what I'm saying, just to see, what was maybe expected
Mhm.
from both sides.
Right. Yeah.
Just out of respect
Out of respect.
and
Yeah.
just out of, okay, well, and you know what I'm saying? But like I said, but if the shoe for me was on the other foot and the mother of my child getting married, I would have probably, okay, now, uh, I kind of want to see how we going to do the visitation or where y'all gonna be living or what's gonna
Mhm.
be is it gonna be an issue
Mhm.
with me visiting or is
Mhm.
it not gonna be an issue?
And
Does he have a problem with me?
yeah, and that's where boundaries come
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
You
So
know, there has to be boundaries also because when a woman is someone else is taking care of a woman's children
right,
and she's married,
right.
then I mean, I would say because I live this, and this from my own experience, I would say there does need to be boundaries. Like you don't need to be calling at 10 o'clock at night trying to check on your child because your child should be asleep at that time. Those are just boundaries. You just can't pop up, anytime you want to see your kid. That
Cause,
is boundaries.
cause if not, it can
It can get
it can
chaotic,
get ugly. I
very
mean,
chaotic. Yeah.
it really
And
can.
then someone there you know, 24 hours or whatever, they're taking care of that household, you need to respect that that man's household. That's just out of respect. And that's just coming from my viewpoint. And that's why sometimes women set things up in court. So it's a court order. So if you don't go by the guidelines, there are repercussions that might take place.
And a lot of things, a lot of instances, people uh having blended families,
Mhm.
it was it was a lot that went on.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that was in our case, but
Yeah.
you hear testimonies, you hear other people talk about what they experienced. And at the end of the day, you want those kids
Mhm.
to be in a loving environment,
Yeah.
in a peaceful environment.
Mhm.
You don't want the kids to the point to where
They're confused.
or every other weekend it's an
It's
issue.
an issue. Drama.
Is you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So uh it just so happens when we got married, we moved we moved away out of state.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really no issue, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I still probably would have liked to had just, a conversation, just, from the jump. But, even though God worked things out and, we didn't really have no too many issues or whatever, but just, you just want to, from the jump, you just kind of want to get some understanding of, okay, this is what we're dealing with. And, and so, but blended families, it's not for the faint of heart now.
No. Yeah.
Don't, don't, don't think, you know, this is like a walk in the park, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, you,
And I think sometimes, especially when it comes to those holidays, I think that was something for me. It was kind of tugging my heart, um, that you have to share holidays, and one sibling is here and the other sibling is there,
right, right,
and it kind of throws things off,
right,
especially if all the siblings are living right there in that household,
right,
and then on a holiday it just kind of it gets awkward.
right,
So you have to kind of, plan around that, and set those boundaries as well. No, you're not going to, no, this is the time that we're going to do this, our family time. And then you're going to do that on their time, on their family time. So I thought that was always awkward during especially those family holidays, those holidays, that's very awkward.
and I mean, uh, and we're really willing to kind of share
Yeah,
how we felt.
yeah.
Uh, what I'm saying? Even though God got us through it, it wasn't always,
Peaches and
yeah,
cream.
I wasn't
Yeah,
always feeling the way things were going,
yeah,
to be honest with
yeah.
you. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't always, you know, everything so perfect. You know what I'm saying? So,
And
uh,
9 times out of 10, with a blended family, it's not gonna be peaches and cream. You're gonna have to have God in the middle, and
right,
the middle of it at all times,
right,
because if not, your flesh can really get to boiling.
right.
Um, I'll just say that your flesh can really get to boiling, um, and that has happened, you know, and that's the truth.
And with us being young when we first got married, it was uh even even in a situation like ours, I think we handled it pretty good at such a young age
Mhm.
because we got married early, we lived out of state for a number of years, and it was really just us.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And that was, I think that was a good thing because it it brought us close together,
mhm.
and to this day the kids will tell you that they grew up pretty much. I wanted to have or create a
Peace,
peaceful environment
very peaceful.
and a loving environment to where they could be themselves.
Yeah,
And I think that's what, I think that's what we created for them. So, because at the end of the day, you want the kids to grow up in a loving environment at the end of the day. Because if not, it can have an adverse effect on them that, they may not say it, they may not talk about it, but later on they'll be like, man, you know, the drama I grew up in or the way I grew up, it had an effect on me. And you won't know till years later. So,
mm,
I wanted to have a peaceful environment, a loving environment, so they could, so the kids could flourish and just be themselves. No pressure. I really wasn't, and I never been a real strict parent, so to speak. I just ain't I just ain't been the strict parent, you know what I'm saying? So, uh, and I kind of, let the kids just be themselves. So, uh, but uh, blended family, it could be a lot of issues could arise from it,
Let's
and
talk about tension, like,
right,
let's talk about, the tension, um, that could arise if you allow it to
if you allow it to,
arise.
yeah,
Yeah. Let's kinda talk about that.
because it could be an instance where, uh, like I said, when we first got married, we lived out of state, but had we not lived out of state, and you know, uh, when it was time for them to come pick up their child, they would have to come by the house. How would I have handled that all those years that I didn't have to deal with when I was out of state?
Mhm.
How would I have been able to handle that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's what I'm saying. Do you think it would have been, tension there?
I don't think so, but
Yeah.
you know,
Mm,
and so and in a lot of cases it can be,
mhm,
you know what I'm saying? In a lot of cases it has been
mhm,
in other instances,
mhm.
not in our instances, but you know, other testimonies of other people, but uh and it's just it's so it could be so complex, but it don't have to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Let's talk about some of the practical things, with um I guess with our experience with having a blended family. Let's talk about some of those practical things. You know, um just I guess, and they can be, something like, simple, like and I'm talking about like practical things, like, simple things, just like, um as far as like the parenting part of it, because one parent over here might have a difference in opinion than your household might have, and what our beliefs are, you know.
right.
Let's kind of talk about that, and I guess maybe, I guess a suggestive, um, a suggestion to suggest to someone that maybe is considering, um, maybe even, co-parenting now, or maybe, that's maybe about to get into a relationship, um, where the family will be blended, or even about to, become husband and wife. Let's kind of talk about that. Let's kind of give them, if you could kind of give suggestions on, some practical things, um, and some things maybe to look out for, where you won't be hit with or be blindsided, um, as well.
Um, I mean, first of all, it doesn't have to be hard,
Yeah.
and it don't have to be no drama. You know what I'm saying? However, once the mother of the children she gets married, though, uh, you gotta you're gonna have to respect the fact that she's married now, and she's uh she has a husband now, and she has the kids, and they have a certain way of how they gonna run their household, and it's got to be respected. And and I think for the most part, it was respected. But I'm just saying, from a to those who are listening, or to those who are watching, stand on what you believe. You have certain guidelines for the household. You have certain guidelines for the kids. Their bedtime is this. They're not allowed to do this. Uh, you know what I'm saying? and you gotta guard and make sure uh that they're not exposed to nothing outside of what you feel like they should be exposed to. You know what I'm saying? And so and for instance, if you know it's certain things you don't expose your kids to in your house, you don't want them to be exposed to those things at somebody else's
Else's
house.
house, right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not that it will, but
Mhm.
you just don't want that to happen. And so
And that's where sometimes the kids kinda get confused, like, "Well, at so and so's house, they can do that.
right.
Well, over here, you not doing it."
And that could be
Yeah.
an issue because
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
man, we don't do that over here.
Right.
And then they go over there, they do that.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking in general. I'm not
Right, not saying yeah.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just talking in general. And that could be frustrating.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, a true mother, whether she married to another man or not, she not gonna try to block the child from seeing their father. A true mother. She may not want him to,
Mhm.
but the way her heart is, even though things didn't work out with us, and even though I'm married now, I'm not gonna try to block
Mhm.
the other biological parent
Mhm.
from seeing or spending time with my child. But she also had to be concerned with what they'll be exposed to. And that could be kind of tricky because, like I said, people have certain beliefs, people live a different way. And a lot of people are in that situation where, we do this over here, but they go over there, they do that. And do I still need to let them go over there?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And only you can answer that in your own individual situation.
Right, right.
And you just got to pray
Yes.
and ask God to lead you and guide you
Got you.
because, you know what's going on in your house, but you may not know what's going
Going
on in
on in
somebody
somebody
else's
else's
house,
house. Yeah.
but you don't want to, you know, block your kid from seeing their parent, but you also want to be concerned about what they're getting exposed to.
Absolutely.
And so it can it can be a lot. It can be a lot to this,
Mhm.
to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is a
And
lot.
in some cases, it's smooth sailing,
Yeah.
and in other cases, it's not smooth sailing.
Emotional roller coaster. Yeah.
And it's like a struggle.
Yeah.
It's like conflict.
Yeah.
And but we just want to kind of encourage some people today the fact that God can through prayer, man, God can work things out to where everything works well, not necessarily smooth, but everything works well through it all. And the child don't have to suffer because of it. And like I said, I keep going back to the child, cause like the old folks say, them children didn't ask to be here.
Right, they say that all the time, yeah.
The
Yeah.
children didn't ask to
They
be
did
here.
not, they did not,
And
yeah.
so it's up to the adults
Yeah.
to make sure the child is they know their love, ain't no a lot of drama, and things can work well. But it could be it could be a lot to this. And we just speaking from our experiences, some of the things we did, some of the things we didn't do, and hopefully can be encouraging to you if you're in this situation. And so, because uh, a lot of people, some people may seem like, well, I had kids out of wedlock, and this is my punishment.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
mm.
Having to deal with this situation,
Yeah, no, you shouldn't have to allow
and that's
allow that, allow
don't
drama.
yeah don't
Yeah.
yeah don't allow yourself to think that way
Mhm. Yeah.
because, like we say, you know grace is available to where whatever issue that it may be, God's hand can,
Mhm.
straighten it out, so to speak. So, uh, but uh, but it could and this takes maturity
It
to
does.
go through this.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
It takes, like somebody said, this for grown folks.
It's a very well for grown folks.
And, but like I
Yes.
said, we were young,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But I think we handled it the best way we knew how. Now looking back, would we have done some things differently? Of course.
Mhm.
That's with anything, so that's
Mhm.
with anything.
Yeah.
But I think we handled it, uh, pretty well for our situation and for our age. And, we just kinda just, did what we knew, and we just God God looked out for us, God blessed us, so but you gotta be mature, though. It takes maturity, so
And sometimes, going through, just the dating phase and all that, um, sometimes you're not gonna be liked right away by those children,
yeah.
you know? So that is a process as
Right,
well, you
right,
know?
right. And you can't be as a man coming into the situation, if the children are not, like, feeling you right away,
Yeah. You can't get mad at
you
them.
can't,
Yeah.
uh you gotta allow some time for that to happen. You gotta allow some time for that to happen. And, so it's not easy. It wasn't easy for me, but it wasn't easy for the children either. So it took some time to kinda get a feel for each other, so to speak. Just like it took us some time,
Mhm.
it took them some time. And so, uh, you just gotta just be patient in that aspect.
And then too, sometimes, when kids are not around that particular person, like throughout the day, and then you're just still in that dating phase, it's still kind of awkward,
Yes, yeah,
So it
right.
was, I was just thinking about this, when Desiree, when you would kind of come over when you would come over mom and daddy's house, and Desiree was just, I guess, because you were big, and she was like only like 4 years old, right?
3 some 4
3 or
something
4, I
like
think,
that.
and, like, he would be sitting you'd be sitting at the table, and then, like, I would, like, walk out the room, and then she would look up and notice I was gone, and she would run back to the back, and it wasn't because he was doing anything wrong, it was because it was just awkward for her, this big guy in the kitchen, and where did my mama go? But, and we talk about that, and we laugh about it all the time, but, it didn't I guess it didn't hurt your feelings, did it? I mean, cause she was little. She was a toddler.
I was probably eating, so it didn't
Yeah.
matter, so
But, I just thought it was just always funny. And sometimes I would just kinda do it just to kinda get a laugh. Um, but now she's what, 33, and we talk about that and we look back at it and we laugh and all that good stuff. But what I'm saying is don't go in, thinking, it's just gonna be peaches and cream because it's not. It's gonna take time. So that's a note to kind of, to kind of take in. So um, you have any other advice, for the male that's out there that may be thinking about, dating or even marriage at this particular time? What would be some of the things that you would advice that you would give to him?
some advice I would give to 'em.
Yeah.
Oh,
And while you're thinking about that, I'll go ahead and I would just make a suggestion for the women out there on some things to kind of look for. Um, so if if that man can't take you as a package deal, don't keep pursuing that. If he can't take you and your kids as a package deal, it's not gonna work. So if he can't include you and your children, just go ahead and, kinda um, rethink that situation out because, your kids should be the number 1 goal in mind,
And I would say from advice to any, young man or well, this is older man, could be older man. But just be honest with yourself. If you feel like this would be a burden for you, okay, uh, don't try to act like it's not.
it's not, right, yeah. Mhm.
Because all you're gonna do is you're gonna get the woman's hopes up
Yeah,
because she thinking
this about to happen.
and she think you straight with it.
Yeah, and
And
then in back of your
in the
mind,
back of your mind, you're like,
yeah, nah, this ain't gonna probably
you know
work.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you kind of fronting and you putting on a good front,
Right, yeah,
but in your heart, you like, man, I don't.
it's not gonna work. Yeah.
Just be honest with yourself. If
Mhm.
if if it's too much for you, just be straight up and honest because it's better to be honest up front than to wait till some time down the road and say, "Well, I really felt like this from the beginning," and then they'll be like, "Well, why did you say something?"
Right, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So, just be honest. They would rather for you to be honest than just to play along,
right, absolutely.
because that would save them
A lot of heartbreak
a lot of heartbreak
in
because
time,
because
in
because
time.
because they probably already been through enough heartache
Mhm.
as it is.
Yeah, you don't wanna keep going through that repeated
And
cycle.
so
Mhm,
if it's too much for you, just be honest
mhm.
and be like, you know what? I can't do that.
Yeah,
Because if you're honest and you know, uh you remove yourself from that situation, you know, now God can send a man who won't look at that as a burden.
right. Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah, that's good. Yeah,
And so and some men look at it as a burden, some men don't. They just look at it as, you know, of course, it's a responsibility that they would have to take on,
mhm.
but it won't be a burden to them, and they'll be cool with it. You know what I'm saying? But all I'm saying is just be honest with yourself, and you know, if you're willing to take that on, that's good. If you're willing to not take it on, that's good too. But just be honest up front, and you can save everybody heartbreak, and now God can connect you to the right person,
Right,
and now God
absolutely.
can send them the
The
right
right
person,
person, yeah, and everybody's happy.
and everybody's happy.
Mhm,
And
yeah.
so,
So let's talk about the families that are already blended in. Let's kind of talk to them and give some, I guess, some encouragement. And I know we talked about if they might haven't had that adult to adult conversation. You know, I feel like that's needed.
yeah, I think that would be good.
And then that respect level, I
That would
think,
be good. Yeah.
that would be good, you know, for those families that are already out there, that's blended together,
Right.
and these might be some things that need to be, you know, said up front, or just said that have not been said yet.
Right.
And maybe that could eliminate, some drama or things that that's maybe chaotic that kind of cut that chaos out.
Right.
And then the boundaries. It's always good to have those boundaries set. Um, and that's just with anything, but we're just talking about right now that the families that are already that's blended, giving them some suggestions and some hope.
Right.
So
Yeah. Just what I'm saying, and if you're the guy that has children by a woman who's not married, respect that.
absolutely,
Just
yeah,
respect it. It didn't work out with y'all. Okay,
yeah,
cool. But just respect the fact that she's married now, and just govern yourself accordingly. You know what I'm saying? But just respect it. You know what I'm saying? And I think whether you like it or not, if you expect it, everybody can work together.
Right, yeah. And the end goal is always gonna be that child or kids.
Always the
That's the
child
end
or the
goal.
children.
It's
Yeah,
not you.
yeah,
It's not them. It's the child.
yeah,
It's the children.
yeah, yeah.
So,
That's it.
yeah.
That's it.
So,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And, that's all we have for you today. We have other, with this series of, blended families. So you guys stay tuned. Watch us on YouTube from the Game to Grace. Subscribe to our channel, and we will talk to you guys later.
See y'all later.
Bye bye.
Thanks for listening to From the Game to Grace with Jarius and Candace Hayes. If today's episode encouraged you, challenged you, or just made you feel a little less alone, do us a favor. Subscribe, share it with someone who needs it, and leave a review to help more people find the show. You can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Just search at From the Game to Grace. That's From the Game, the number 2, Grace. Remember, no matter what you've lost or where you've been, grace is always the next play. We'll see you next time.